let's move on and talk about the Penguins' third pairing on defense. Because obviously coming into the season, that was a big question mark. Everybody knew, okay, Mike Matheson's probably going to be the guy, but who are they going to put next to him? Because last year it worked out really well with Cody Ceci. It did, but that got Cody Ceci paid. That's the reason Cody Ceci got such a huge contract to go and play for the Edmonton Oilers. So the question was, Mark Friedman, Chad Ruhwedel, maybe a P.O. Joseph. Who's going to play next to Mike Matheson on third D pairing? And Chad Ruhwedel, a guy that has been the ultimate 6th or 7th defenseman for the Pittsburgh Penguins for the past, 4 years, 5 years. He just comes in and plays once every 2 months. He played really well in that role. This year, in training camp, he earns the right to be the 6th defenseman and start and play every single night. And I wanted to check in on how those guys have played. Horwat, without me going into the stats, which I will in a minute, how do you evaluate them based on what you've seen thus far into the season?
I feel like Chad Ruhwedel's just been the most consistent, obviously. I think it's his spot at this point just because he's got a little veteran aspect to it where you kind of give him the nudge over a guy like Friedman or Joseph, we enjoy watching play. We enjoy having him in this organization, but are the wheels really there yet? Is he fully ready for an NHL spot? I think he proved to definitely have the capabilities last year. Mm-hmm. It is now just a matter of consistency, which is hard to get when you're not the top guy in, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think growing his game in the minors with a bunch of guys that are going to be, some options soon. Growing some chemistry down there with those guys isn't a bad idea. I think Friedman is just such a question mark anymore. Like, what are we really doing with him? Mm-hmm. I know he's a Hextall guy, and I know he's a ton of fun to play on the ice when we play Philly.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if he's sustainable either, really. It's such a hard question to really pin down. And Juuso Riikola is still in this conversation sometimes.
Is he?
Is he, though? Him. It's such a wild situation with him. Mm-hmm. But I just do think this last spot just goes to Ruhwedel. I mean, sure, mm-hmm. He's not the points guy. He's not supposed to be. He's the 6th defenseman that could get replaced like that.
Yeah.
But that's been his game. That has been his game, and he's played it fairly well. I mean, he's already passed his game total from last season. He's played 23 this year, 17 last year, albeit a shortened season, but still. He's been the guy. He's been this exact role for a long time now, for 6 years, like you said. Mm-hmm. And he's been perfect for this position in this situation.
When I think of Mike Matheson defensive partner, there's one non-measurable metric and characteristic that person needs to have that I think Chad Ruhwedel has over top of guys like Riikola or Friedman or a Joseph, and that's maturity. Mm-hmm. And not to say that those other players are immature, but they just don't have the reps at the NHL level that somebody needs to inherently have to be on the ice with Mike Matheson on a normal basis. Because he does still, even though I think, and we'll get to it in a second, I think Mike Matheson has had a very, very good season. He has been very good for the Pittsburgh Penguins. It might not seem like it because there are plenty other storylines like an Evan Rodriguez or like a Marcus Pettersson and John Marino pairing. That pairing is playing extremely well. We could go into them for 10 minutes alone. But Mike Matheson has been extremely good this year. But there's always that thought of he might get a little jittery. He might get that itch to be offensive, and that might put you in a bad position. You need to have the maturity to stay home and be ready to cover up for that. And I think that's something that Chad Ruhwedel does much better than those other 3 guys, which is why you've seen him start in every single game on the defense for Mike Sullivan's team. Now, let me talk about the stats really quickly. Mike mm-hmm. Matheson on the year, counting stats-wise, 1 goal, 7 assists in 18 minutes and 28 seconds average time on ice. That's a lot of time for a third-pairing defenseman.
Yeah.
Especially one that doesn't play special teams.
He's not on the second unit?
He does not. He plays a little bit more power play minute time. He's played 34 total minutes on the power play.
Okay.
Which is not a lot, but it's more than nothing. He's only played on 10 minutes of the penalty kill. So he does not go out there on the kill.
No, we shouldn't be.
So, I mean, this guy is averaging almost 20 minutes a game, almost 19 minutes a game at 5-on-5. That shows you how much more confidence Mike Sullivan has in him coming into the season. And it's paid off because now you go into the analytical stats, 54.83 Corsi for percentage. We talk about 55 and up is usually above average to elite. He's at 54.83 right now. Again, who's his competition? That's something else you need to look into. He's a third pairing defenseman, but he's doing well against the people he's deployed against. Expected goals share, 54%. That's good. You want that above 50%? That's where you want. And the high danger chances for, which is where he usually struggles because, makes those stupid mistakes, makes those turnovers, which we have seen, but he's made a lot less of them, which is why his high danger chances for is at 58.11%. He's controlling the pace of play. He's controlling the opportunities when he's on the ice. And for a third pairing guy, that's something that we need to give a little bit more credence to because I don't think I've seen enough people give him credit for the play that he has had this season. I know it's going to be hard, the contract, everything like that. But if you stay off of cap friendly and you watch the way that he's played as a third pairing defenseman, he's good for this team.
It's funny that you said stay off of cap friendly because that's what I literally just pulled up. No, and I get it. He's played phenomenally as a third pairing defenseman. It is just so hard, no matter what, to watch him play as a third pairing and realize we're paying him as a top line guy.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue there. I mean, he's making more than John Marino, whose new contract just kicked in. He's making more than Brian Dumoulin, who's a first line defenseman. It's just hard to overlook that. It really is. Add on the modified no trade clause and the fact that it lasts until the cows come home. Those are just the hard parts of it. And I can remember having this discussion with you a long time ago, last season, whenever Mike Matheson was playing great. I said, yeah, he's playing great, but he's not playing at a $4.8 million pace. And I think
he never will, though.
Exactly. And I think you said you can't, take the contract into this, or you have to ignore the contract. And you're right, you do. It's just hard sometimes when we're
It is
strapped to hell and back. It's a little difficult. It might be at the point where we're not gonna be able to find a trade partner because we're not using him, not that we're using him in the proper way to trade, but he's not getting the reps that would warrant hey, here's a $4.8 million defenseman. Figure something out with him.
Yeah, I don't think I would want to trade him right now.
That's totally fair.
Sometimes it's very difficult to find a very sturdy third pairing that's able to go up against good third lines on the other team because, the better teams you play, you're going to have to go up against really good third lines. And you're going to need guys like Mike Matheson and Chad Ruhwedel, the way that they're currently playing, to be there to shut things down. And I know, the contract, it's always an issue. Yeah. But I don't think I want to trade away a guy like Mike Matheson, especially when I have no idea if P.O. Joseph is ready to play. And is he ready to play in a third line role? That's another thing.
Right. It's also, it is hard to dump off Matheson whenever, who are other options? Ricola? Well, the coaching staff doesn't want to put him in. Yeah. Friedman? Well, he's kind of inconsistent as hell and is only fun to watch whenever we play the Flyers.
Yeah.
Joseph, is he really ready yet? After that, it's a bunch of minor leaguers, really. I mean, we always seem to have this surplus of NHL capable and ready defensemen. But what use really are they?
They're third pairing. Most of them are third pairing guys.
Right.
At best.
For now.
So, yeah, for now. But I think the good thing is that you have a Matheson who, honestly, he's playing at a second line level. I don't know what happens when you put him up there and you deploy him like that, but the minutes that he's logging right now, 18 minutes a game, it helps alleviate pressure at 5-on-5 for a guy like Chris Letang, who's playing every single second of a power play and every single second of a penalty kill. So the way that Matheson's playing, and Ruhwedel for that matter, they're able to go out there at 5-on-5 and give these other guys who play special teams a little bit of a rest and relaxation, which is probably what's helping the fact that the penalty kill is extremely phenomenal.
Yep.
It's continuing to be phenomenal, and it's not because of these guys. I mean, Ruhwedel has played a little bit more than Matheson on the penalty kill, but he's played exactly 0 minutes on the power play. He hasn't even stepped on with 1 second. I'm sure he might have, but 0 minutes logged on the power play, according to Hockey Reference. But looking at Ruhwedel's stat line, counting stats, 0 goals, 2 assists, 15:54 average time on ice. So he is obviously the lowest of the main 6 on time on ice, and only 2 penalty minutes for Chad Ruhwedel. That's what you get. Solid, consistent, smart hockey that he's able to go out there and compliment Mike Matheson. So I did want to, I wanted to drop down and heap praise on the third pairing because I just don't think it gets done nearly enough. Other stats, 54.69 Corsi for, 57.12 expected goal share, and a 60.38 high danger chances for percentage. So these guys are playing extremely phenomenally. Chad Ruhwedel's Corsi for is currently at a career high, so he's playing the best that he has as well as playing the most that he has. So it's nice to see this pairing be something that Mike Sullivan doesn't have to worry about because there's so many other things with the injuries and COVID and everything that he's had to worry about. The third pairing has not been one of them.
No, that's rare for this team too. I'm trying to remember some old third pairing guys. I mean, at one point Justin Schultz was on our third pair?
Yeah, he was also a second pairing at points, but the one third pairing at one point was Justin Schultz and Jack Johnson. So
Oh yeah, that third pair. Yeah, and you mentioned Mike Matheson playing at a second line pace. I mean, that's what he did with CC all of last season.
Mm-hmm.
So we know he can step in like that, and I think more or less that came at necessity because Marino and Pettersson not playing to their abilities, but
yeah, they
have both seemed to step up as well. So all is right in this world again, aside from that contract.
Yeah. Well, that's where we're going to end that conversation. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we're going to bring this home with our weekly Pens poll. We'll be right back.